Good evening, everyone. It is 7 p.m. and it's time to start the January 18th meeting of the Findlay City Council. We'll start off with our roll call.
Mr. Bowman?
Here.
Mr. Greeno?
Here.
Mr. Hellman?
Here.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Here.
Mr. Palmer?
Here.
Mr. Russell? Mr. Slough?
Here.
Ms. Warnicki?
Here.
Mr. Weisner? Here. And Mr. Wobser?
Here. Mr. Russell is absent tonight. Can I have a motion to excuse his absence? Mr. Greeno, and second by Mr. Slough. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Mr. Russell is excused. There was not an insurrection at the municipal building this week. The mayor is in Washington attending her duties there, and therefore the President Harrington moves over as acting mayor and is per our rules, and Mr. Russell is absent. So in lieu of Mr. Russell, who is our President Pro Tem sitting in for Mr. Harrington, I was asked to do it tonight. So I will do my best, but I'll struggle my way through this. We'll start next with the Pledge of Allegiance and followed by a moment of silence. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Okay. Do we have any add-ons or replacements? We do not. No proclamations, no recognition retirement resolutions, no petitions tonight, but we do have one oral communication. Mr. Benjamin Cutler from 1800 Broad is here to talk to us about Columbia Gas projects. Mr. Cutler, you have the floor for 4 minutes.
Thank you. Got a couple of maps to hand out as well, just some our project locations for this year. So, do that. This might be some extras, so no problem. Yeah, thank you. Good evening, council. Thank you for having me. My name's Ben Cutler. I'm public affairs specialist for Columbia Gas, covering the Findlay area as well, the northern half of the state. I wanted to come to these meetings to talk briefly about two big projects we have going on in the city of Findlay this year. One is called Main and Yates. The other is called McConnell. Main and Yates started last week. McConnell should be underway this past week, so should be underway next week. So what I wanted to do was just give a quick overview of what we're doing, why we're doing it, what folks can expect. So essentially, this is a replacement project. We've done these in Findlay before, and we'll do them in the future, where our old infrastructure has served us well, but over time it's corroded and decayed, and it still serves us well, but the cost to maintain and repair is actually more than putting in the new, more modern pipe. So we're putting in new plastic. It's got enhanced safety features. It can bend to the contour of the earth, expand and contract with shifting temperatures. It will last about the next 100 years. So all in all, it's just a much sturdier pipe. And once we're done with these projects, folks in the area should see less of us. And so good long-term investment. The Main and Yates project, like I said, started last week. It's pretty much on Washington between Lima and Yates, a big stretch there. On Lima, we'll go west to Main Street as well, and we'll hit Woodley Terrace on the south part of the project. It's about 16,000 feet of pipe, 300 customers, so a pretty big size project. Expecting about 4 to 5 months there of work. Could be shorter depending on crew availability. McConnell, which will start next week, is pretty much in the area bounded by the railroad, Tiffin, G Street, and McManus. 9,200 feet of pipe, 210 customers, a little bit smaller of a project, probably somewhere in the realm of 3 to 4 months. I should have mentioned, I believe Main and Yates is wards 4 and 5, and McConnell is wards 3 and 4, split between the two. And just quickly, I know I only have probably another minute or two. In terms of the phases of the project, pre-construction's first, that's where we're marking all the facilities. Biggest question we get there is flags and yards, and that's just for oops. We ask folks to keep those in until we're done so we don't inadvertently hit anything. First phase is main line. We're putting in that main artery, the one side of the street, usually in the right-of-way, or always in the right-of-way. Once that's done, we'll do service lines for individual customers, teeing off the main and running to the house, moving the meter outside. Those are done via appointment and take about 2 to 4 hours per home. The biggest thing we see there during the winter is folks worried about the gas disruption, which is about an hour. Like I said, though, we schedule that via appointment. So we'll work with residents. If we have cold days, we'll postpone appointments. And so we're very conscientious of that. Last main thing I'll mention, and probably for this presentation, the most important thing where we see the most questions is with restoration, making sure we get property returned back to its original condition. We'll do temporary restoration as the project goes to ensure safety and accessibility. And then as we reach conclusion, we'll do all the permanent restoration, concrete, asphalt, leveling, laying down topsoil, grass seed, all that good stuff. We actually take video before the project starts of the above ground and the below ground. And with the above ground video, we know what the area looked like beforehand. So we'll make sure that we get it restored. And the biggest thing that we see there from folks is just, people get antsy, we get it, they don't see their pipelines, they see their yards. We will get things restored, but it takes some time. And of course, if there's any issues after the fact, we'll always come back even once the project is over. So that's pretty much the high level. Just wanted to we've been working with Jeremy and his team on details, and it's been a great relationship. But just wanted to come this evening and give council some information and make myself available for any questions or concerns, or even if they don't come up tonight, make sure everyone knows me and knows Columbia Gas and, it has access to us if needed. So thank you for having me.
Very good. Mr. Cutler, questions? Mr. Hellman?
Yeah, you may have mentioned this, and I just didn't catch it. What's the diameter of the pipe, and what kind of pressure is it under?
Yeah, I will say I'm not an engineer, and I will probably follow up with you, if that's okay, because I want to verify. I know, obviously, the diameter of the main line is a little bit larger than the service lines. I want to say on Main and Yates, and I will get you the stats for sure, the Main and Yates, I believe the main line's going to be 6-inch, but I need to verify that, and I will get back with you. The pressure, a lot of the times we're going from the IP or the LP to the MP, like the medium pressure. So by doing that, folks will have, additional capacity for things like, generators or pool heaters or things like that. So they're part of this project. In addition to the reliable system and, enhanced safety features, there'll be some increased capacity for folks to, if they want to add devices or services. We see a lot of folks that want to add generators and things like that. So, but I'll follow up with you on the exact diameter of the pipe, if that's okay.
That's fine, it's not critical, but thank you.
No problem.
Mr. Wisner?
What's the amount being invested as far as financially?
Yeah, again, I don't have that. If it's okay with you, I'll send that over after the fact. I do believe both projects are north of $1 million in terms of the dollar amount. And I just don't have it handy in front of me, but if it's okay, I'll shoot you a note tomorrow and get you those figures.
And knowing nothing about gas lines, why these areas, I guess?
Yeah, sure, that's a great.
The oldest or?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're actually in the middle of a 25-year initiative to replace 20,000 miles of pipe across our service area. So what our engineers do is they look at our entire scope of facilities and they identify areas that maybe are more prone to leakage, are more prone to corrosion, areas where we have a lot of calls, and say, hey, we have our operations groups responding to leaks here. So these are not the first projects in Findlay. Last year we did Ohlers Phase 1 and Phase 2. We'll have more projects in the future, but for this year, the priority pipe, these were the two areas that our engineers identified and wanting to get things swapped out. So it's all based on leakage, and eventually we'll replace everything, but it's just very gradual over time. So these were the lines that were selected for the projects this year.
The older pipes were supposed to, how long were they supposed to last?
So the older pipes that are in the ground, like I said, they're still serving us well, but they've been in the ground since the 50s or 60s, so they're just old, and we could get some more mileage out of them, but again, with the leakage and whatnot, it's better that we get them replaced. And actually, interesting note on the question, we actually don't take out the old facilities either. We abandon them in place, because if you can imagine us having to lift out an entire old system, it would be a kind of a mess for restoration, even more so. So the old facilities will be abandoned in place. And so that in most cases, the new plastic system will just sit next to it.
Any other questions? Mr. Baumann?
Yeah, will the pipeline, will the piping be crossing the street as it did with the Lima Avenue work?
Yeah, we will have some, so we will have some areas where we have to cross the street. I know on Main and Yates with the project that's already underway, we'll have a crossing on Main that we'll be coordinating with the engineering department on for traffic. Because a lot of times when we're crossing, that's more, if we're able to, our excavation is a combination of boring and open cutting. We directional bore where we can, where we get good camera work, but we have to open cut. And a lot of times when we're crossing, especially we're open cutting, when we're crossing other facilities, we want to make sure that we're not cross boring anything. So yes, there's likely will be road crossings, but if we get good camera work and we're certain of the alignments of facilities, there's a chance we may be able to bore, but we're not there yet, and I don't exactly know how many crossings on each project, but there will be definitely some crossings on each project.
And this may be more of a question for Jeremy. If I remember correctly, there were sort of pavement repair stipulations and things that, correct?
Yeah, so as part of the project, they have been they've been working with us very well on a lot of this stuff. So we do walk through there. If we have a lot of excessive crossing, we do work with them to kind of say, okay, if we were to repair this and this was our project, this was how we would do it. We walk the whole job with it. I may not walk them with myself, but we have like our street department. They do a very good job with that, and they've been great working with us on that. Kind of I guess if you want to say it a plus side with where they're at right now, a lot of those streets have not been resurfaced yet. They are kind of on our track to look at resurface, but I want kind of Columbia Gas get out of there first, and then we'll start resurfacing. So the ones on the older side probably is a little bit more prevalent since some of those streets were resurfaced and they were nicer roads and stuff, but that's just kind of the way things go sometimes. Underground, you don't know how it's going to last sometimes, but yeah, we'll still continue to work with them on repairs and all that kind of stuff.
Thanks, Jeremy. And just to add, our restoration is always, we follow city standards for restoration. So if Jeremy and his team give us standards, that's what we're going to follow. I mean, it's our privilege to work in the community, and, we need to follow the permitting guidelines and standards that are given to us, and we're really good about that. And if there's any questions or concerns or gray area, we have direct lines to the engineering and street departments to get things worked out. And I should probably add too, if we do take up any sidewalk or anything like that, that gets replaced and report as well. So our standards, anything that we touch, we restore back to its original condition, if not better.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Cutler? Benjamin, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time this evening, coming and
Thank you,
giving us an
everybody.
update on that.
And I'll follow up with those other questions, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on, we have no written communications tonight, so we'll go on to reports of municipal officers and municipal departments.
Findlay Municipal Court Activities Report for December 2021.
Questions? Yes, sir. Mr. Wizard?
I did email Dave Beach, and I requested a monthly data report be included as far as inmates, our city inmates that were responsible for the house here, and not county, along with Mike. Thank you. I requested information as far as our city's responsibility of our inmates that are housed currently here, out of county, and the number of inmates transported per month, kind of a data, so we can see that moving forward. I think that's good for our benefit and then the public's too. So they're going to start including that with monthly reports.
Very good. Good question to ask, given what we're up against here. Any other questions? Report to be filed.
Findlay Fire Department Activities Report for December 2021.
Questions or discussion? Report to be filed.
City Income Tax Monthly Collections Report for December 2021.
Questions? Report to be filed.
Findlay Police Departmental Activities Report for December 2021.
Questions? Report to be filed.
City Planning Commission Agenda for January 13th, 2022, as well as the minutes of November 10th, 2021, December 9th, 2021, and their staff report for January 13th, 2022.
Questions or discussion on all those? Reports to be filed.
Letter from Mayor Mern regarding Shade Tree Commission appointment. This does not require council's confirmation.
Any questions from council on the appointment? In fact, I would request that this get read into the minutes, please. Can I get someone would second that? Mr. Hellman, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
This letter is to inform you of my appointment of the following individual to the Shade Tree Commission. Does not require council confirmation. Term will expire on December 31st, 2022. Fill in the unexpired term of Brian Ballman. Haley, how do you pronounce that? Belial. This appointment does not require the confirmation of City Council. However, I trust that you will concur with my selection.
Very good. We certainly appreciate Haley, Ms. Belial's service on this commission. Report to be filed, or letter to be filed.
Letter from Service Safety Director Martin regarding an annual Community Park Improvement Program grant.
Questions? Letter to be filed.
Precipitation and reservoir levels report for the fourth quarter 2021.
Questions? Report to be filed.
Traffic Commission minutes for December 20th, 2021.
Questions? Minutes to be filed. Moving on to committee reports.
The Strategic Planning Committee met on January 11th, 2022 to discuss planning next. We recommend continuing to move forward with the strategic planning process.
Any questions? The strategic planning, the next thing coming up for this is our meeting on January 27th, which will be our first meeting of the communications and outreach group. It'll be held from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. at the University of Findlay College of Business building in room 120. And all of council is invited to attend that. Certainly the Strategic Planning Committee members are invited, and anybody, council, you're invited to attend that also.
Need a motion to accept the committee report?
Do I have a motion to accept the committee report? First, motion by Mr. Baumann, second by Mr. Wisner. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Planning and Zoning Committee, to whom was referred a request from Country Club Acres Incorporated to rezone 0 South Main Street, parcel number 620010222082 from C2 General Commercial to M2 Multifamily High Density. We recommend to approve the request to rezone 0 South Main Street from C2 to M2 as requested.
Questions, Mr. Slough? Motion by Mr. Slough, second by Mr. Greeno. Any discussion? All those in favor of the committee report say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Report to be filed.
Planning and Zoning Committee, to whom was referred a request from Philip Rooney, agent for the petitioner, to vacate Heartland Court from Technology Drive to the west dead end lying between lots 5, 6, 8, and 9 in the Findlay Commerce Park. We recommend to approve the request to vacate Heartland Court between lots 5, 6, 8, and 9 as requested.
Mr. Slough? Motion by Mr. Slough, second by Mr. Palmer. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor of the committee report say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Report to be filed. Is that what I say next? On to legislation.
First reading for Resolution 5, 2022. A resolution approving the expenditures made by the Auditor's Office on the attached list of vouchers which either exceed the purchase order or were incurred without a purchase order, exceeding the statutory limit of $3,000, all in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 5705.41D.
Mr. Slough?
I would move for adoption of Resolution 5-2022.
Motion, second Mr. Greeno. Discussion? All those in favor of passing Resolution 005, 2022, say aye after name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer. Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell? Oh, sorry, Mr. Slough? Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Weisner?
Aye.
And Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
It's adopted.
Motion is adopted. Resolution, excuse me.
Second reading for ordinance 2022-003, an ordinance appropriating funds and declaring an emergency. First reading for ordinance 2022-005, an ordinance appropriating funds and declaring an emergency.
Okay.
First reading for ordinance 2022-006, an ordinance amending chapter 1100 et sec of the codified ordinances of the city of Findlay, Ohio, known as the zoning code, by rezoning the following described property referred to as South Main Street, parcel number 620001022082, rezone, which previously was zoned C2 general commercial, to M2 multifamily high density. First reading for ordinance 2022-007, an ordinance vacating a certain portion of a certain road right-of-way hereinafter referred to as the Findlay Commerce Park 4th Edition Heartland Court right-of-way vacation in the city of Findlay, Ohio.
Very good. Moving on to unfinished business. Do we have any old business? Very good. No old business. Do we have any new business? Chief Eberly?
Thank you. First, let me say I'm impressed by your efficiency. So, everybody
I was
in their
going
new
for a
roles
record.
is-
I'm
is
not sure I
working
got
out.
it, but we're going to be close.
I will do my best not to screw that up. I wanted to take an opportunity real quick just to give you a heads up on something that you're going to see on the agenda for your next council meeting. And it is really because of an oversight on my part. In October of last year, council passed an appropriation for $600,000 to purchase that demo fire truck. Most of you probably remember that. So that was allocated, and in order for that to carry forward from the calendar year or fiscal year 21 to 22, it had to be encumbered on a purchase order, and I did not do that. So Deputy Auditor Sampson got a hold of me today, and she said, hey, as part of the end of the year process, that had to be reallocated, or it had to go back into the capital improvement fund. Is that correct? And it's got to be reallocated by council in this year. So, reason I wanted to give you a heads up is because the fire truck is going to be done in the middle of February, and they're probably going to expect a check if they're going to let us take it home. So, unfortunately, it'll have to be done the first meeting of next year. So I wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page with that, so we didn't run into any hiccups next month.
So, Chief, basically, we will have that legislation in front of us next week,
Yes, sir.
and we'll need to get that passed.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you for the heads up. Mr. Hellman?
Just out of curiosity, Chief, where does one go to buy a fire truck? Where do you have to go to pick this thing up?
Oh, yeah, Amazon or La Rich, locally. Yeah, depends on if you want a Ford, or a Chevy. This one is manufactured in the Columbus area by the Sutphen Corporation. So there are various manufacturers. That's the closest one to us. Same place we purchased the one in 2018. So.
Thanks.
Yep.
Never bought a fire truck before.
I don't do it very much either. That's why I failed to make this purchase order happen. So
Forgive me.
Yeah.
you can come on. We'll give you a ride in one. And we'll see if you need one in your retirement. So.
Chief, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for your
guys.
heads up. Any other questions for the chief? Very good. Any other new business? Mr. Auditor? Mr. Savvy Service Director? Nothing? Oh, my gosh. Acting Mayor, do you have something you'd like to say?
Just real quick, I noticed something this afternoon. It's more for public and including council, that there are COVID tests available through the mail. You have to register for that through the U.S. Postal Service. If anybody's looking for one, they haven't had any here local for quite a while, but it looks like they're going to start ramping up. You register, they'll send 4 per address, right? So not per occupant. And they will not ship them to a business address. So it has to be a residential address. Just, for the public, I just, myself and others have gotten some comments on why aren't they available at the library and elsewhere. That's nothing that we can necessarily do about that, but here's possibly a solution for some of the people. So, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. Anything else? Mr. Wisner?
I have 2 comments. First off, I've dealt with a lot of communities, cities, private, public, but I want to say a shout out to Denise and Jim and the auditor's office, Carolyn. This seems like the smooth transaction. I was going to say it's like a well-oiled synthetic machine, but since I did not get the email about the meeting canceled for the Parks and Recreation today, I'll say it was just a well-oiled machine. But it was just a smooth process. They knew exactly what they were doing, and it was just an easy flow, and it was just great to see a city or a community that can just handle something so beneficial. Nice. And I just shout out to Denise. Thanks for a job well done. And just everything was in line. So appreciate that.
Well
and
deserved.
The second question was, I think it's more toward Jason. Has there been any changes as far as signage or with the school? Some of the schools have changed. And I know Jacobs, which is in my ward, there's some different hours going on there with the preschool now. And it seems like there's a lot of parents coming and going around the noon hour. And the signs posted are like more for the morning and then late afternoon. I don't know if that's your responsibility or the schools. Jacobs is preschool now. If that's been looked at or anything.
Couldn't tell you off bat, but that's something we could look at on Traffic Commission. Because a lot of those, like the restrictions and all that kind of stuff, will go through Traffic Commission. So that's something that we can look at, talk to schools, and
I know
see.
there's been some changes, and I know since I drive by Jacobs every day, there's a lot more noon traffic with the parents coming and going. I think just because of their preschool now instead of the 1 kindergarten through 3rd. So.
Yeah, we can reach out to them, see if there's any kind of restrictions that they're needing, and like I said, that will go through. We can send that through Traffic Commission. All its proper hoops, I guess.
Yeah, I think that should probably be looked at. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Very good. With our business concluded, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Baumann, thank you. Second by Mr. Niemeyer. Got his hand up there. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.